Hey there, welcome to Ditch Your Diet with the 3 secrets to weight loss that lasts. My name is Jenna Hostetler and I'm a neurodietitian, which means I'm a registered dietitian who's also a certified neurocoach. So not only am I able to help you hone in on your nutrition to achieve the health you want, I can also help you see the beliefs that your brain has created that are stopping you from getting the results you want, and we work to erase those from your brain and replace them with beliefs that allow you to hit your goals once and for all. Today, I promise to show you the 3 secrets to getting weight loss that lasts so that you know how to dramatically improve your health in a way that is simple and achievable, even for the busiest of people, regardless of how many diets you've tried or how far gone you think you are. We will uncover the 4 proven principles of health that will allow anyone to lose weight, increase energy, and prevent disease for life, and we will do this in record time. So you are in the right place if you've tried so many diets or food plans in an effort to get your health back on track that you don't even know what to eat anymore. If you're constantly searching for answers and the amount of information and conflicting advice has you so overwhelmed that you end up doing nothing, and if you want to know what it really takes to get long-term weight loss and other health results, and you want to know why nothing ever works. If that's not you, this isn't the place to be. Would you agree that diets rarely, if ever, provide long-lasting results? The ideas and plans are usually great, but life is unpredictable and they're nearly impossible to stick to. There is so much confusing and conflicting information out there that if someone isn't telling you exactly what to do, then you feel like you have no idea what the real answer is, and eventually you have no idea who or what to trust, or even if you can trust yourself. Would you also agree that if you knew something would absolutely work, if you knew you could do it forever, if you actually wanted to do it forever, and if you had the support, accountability, and resources to follow through 100%, you would do it? If that's not you, you're probably wasting your time here, so feel free to hop off anytime. Before we get started, I want to make sure we're on the same page. There is no one-size-fits-all diet, but there are general principles and guidelines that everyone would benefit from following. Some of this information might feel irrelevant to you, but if you aren't aware of it, you will have no idea when you're looking at a meal plan, program, or product that is complete garbage. You might already know 99% of the information you hear today, but you wouldn't be watching this if you didn't feel like something was missing. And guess what? Health is simple. During this webinar, we will discover the 4 proven principles of health that will allow anyone to lose weight, increase energy, and prevent disease for life, regardless of your current goals, diet, or health history. You can be successful here if you're willing to have an open mind about the information shared over this next hour, if you're ready to take responsibility for your health by learning what you need to know and putting that knowledge into practice, and if you're comfortable asking why, because your days of blindly accepting information that impacts your health are over. If you're not okay with those things, feel free to hop off. You probably won't find anything helpful here anyway, and I won't judge you, I promise. Okay, maybe a little. You're probably wondering who I am. My name is Jenna Hostetler. I'm a neurodietitian and the founder of New Habits Nutrition. This is me, the neurodietitian, and this is my coaching business. So you'll see both of these logos as we work together. I spent 3 years working in the nation's largest grocery store, helping people live healthier lives, watching thousands of people's shopping habits, and seeing firsthand how the food industry and marketing totally derailed people from buying foods that they thought were going to help them succeed. I spent 3 years as a lifestyle coach for the CDC's diabetes prevention program, and no, I've never worked for or with the CDC. And typical results for clients who work with me are going from diagnosed diabetes or prediabetes to normal blood sugar levels, an average of 10 pounds lost in 6 weeks. Blood pressure from the 190s to the 130s in just 3 weeks. More energy, more confidence, and less confusion. And I believe that every disease can be prevented and cured with the right lifestyle. I believe when God created the earth, He put everything on here we need to live happy, healthy lives, and we just need to learn how to use it. But don't just take my word for it. Let's look at what some of my clients have to say. Dixie says, I'm confident I'll continue on this healthy journey because of the way you taught the information. I have a long way to go, but I have everything I need to succeed. Charles says, without all the meds, my body and sleeping habits are so much better. I took your advice seriously and did my part to live it, and my blood pressure is better and I've trimmed down so much. Samantha says I was able to go on a 10-day trip to Italy, then come back home and get right back into my routine. And Debbie says my blood sugar has been in the teens every day, and I'm thrilled beyond belief. Yes, these results are incredible, and I use my 3 phases of transformation to get clients there. Phase 1, we undo the misinformation from the diet industry and the healthcare industry that is keeping you stuck in the cycle of short-term weight loss and rebound weight gain. Phase 2, we return to the basic principles of health that are required for everyone to lose weight, increase energy, and prevent disease for life. And Phase 3, we uncover the automations that your brain has created that are stopping you from getting results. Then we create new pathways in the brain so that healthy habits you want become automated. And today we'll cover phases 1 and 2. So let's dive in. As promised, I'm going to show you how to ditch your diet with the 3 secrets to weight loss that lasts. Secret 1 is getting a foundation of facts. What are macros? What are calories? How do they really work? And does it even matter if we track them? Secret 2, the lies of the diet industry and the food industry that are preventing you from getting your results and keeping them. And secret 3, real solutions. How do we get results and keep those results while managing life without feeling stressed or deprived? And why is no one talking about these solutions? Secret 1 is that foundation of facts, because once we understand the foundation of our health, it becomes very clear what we can ignore, and that overwhelm of conflicting information just kind of dissolves. To get our foundation, we're going to dive into macros and calories. Let's start with part 1, macros. So what are macros? What are macronutrients? Well, we have 3, fat, protein, and carbohydrates. These are our only sources of calories aside from alcohol, and no, alcohol is not a macronutrient. So when we talk about calories, we only get them from these 3 sources. First, let's look at fat. Okay, so what is fat? Well, scientifically, fat is a triglyceride, a phospholipid, a fatty acid, or a sterol. You probably recognize words like saturated, unsaturated, hydrogenated, trans, omega-3, omega-6, and cholesterol. Animal sources of fat include meat, fish, dairy, eggs, and butter, lard, and tallow. Plant sources of fat are olives, avocado, coconut, nuts, seeds, soy, and oil. Why do we need fat? Is fat even important? Is it something that we need in our diets, that we need in our bodies, that we need to eat enough of? The answer is yes. So first of all, fat improves flavor and texture. It makes food taste better, makes food feel better. It makes us want to eat it. Fat helps keep us full because it slows down digestion. It stays in our stomachs longer, which means if you're eating a high-fatty meal, you'll stay full quite a bit longer than if you don't have any fat at all. Fat also helps us absorb nutrients. There are specific fat-soluble vitamins, vitamins A, D, E, and K, that require fat for our bodies to absorb them. So if we have this beautiful salad with low-fat dressing, yes, we're getting a lot of vitamins and nutrients, but without any fat, we're not able to use them properly. Fat creates bile, which also helps us digest and absorb other fats. Fat creates hormones and vitamin D. In fact, when we're exposed to sunlight, cholesterol is required to turn that into vitamin D. Fat is required for cell repair, for cell membrane creation. We have trillions and trillions of cells in our bodies, and they turn over daily. And if we're needing to repair cells, or when we're building new cells, those cells need to have integrity. They need to have good solid cell membranes so they're healthy, so they're in good shape, so they don't let foreign objects that can make us sick. Fat protects against inflammation, or it can cause inflammation. There are certain fats that are wonderfully helpful for fighting inflammation. There are also certain fats that cause inflammation, and inflammation is like the cornerstone to all disease. So it's really important that we're getting enough of the right types of fat to help combat that. Fat protects brain health. Our brain is mostly made up of fat, and I'm sure you've seen that omega-3s in fish oil are great for brain health. And they also allow us to absorb the nutrients that our brain requires to function at optimal levels. Fat is also vital for our nervous system development, and it's vital for our immune system to function properly. So yes, fat is insanely important in our diet. So what sorts of fats should we be eating? Well, number 1, we want fats that come from whole food sources. Yes, that does mean full-fat dairy. Any whole food source that is naturally high in fat is a good thing that we want to be eating. For oils, we want extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, and coconut oil. And then for solid fats, we want butter, ghee, lard, and tallow. They're all great. Of course, we need to look at the quality, but these are fats that all come from nature. And as such, our bodies know what to do with them, and as long as we don't go overboard, we will be fine. What fats do we want to avoid? Well, first, we want to avoid fully and partially hydrogenated oils. These are trans fats. They're horrible for heart health, horrible for inflammation, and they're in a lot of packaged foods, even if the label says 0 trans fats. So make sure you read the ingredient list to know for sure. We want to avoid soybean oil, corn oil, and canola oil. Yes, I know they're plant-based. Yes, I know they're everywhere. Yes, I know they're super cheap, but they're not good for inflammation. They're not good for fighting disease, and there's a reason they're so cheap. And finally, we want to be very careful with plant-based alternatives. It's important to, again, read the ingredient list because some of these are better than others, and some of these are glorified margarine from the 90s that has been rebranded to be plant-based because it's a buzzword that everyone assumes is healthy. This stuff comes from a factory. It is not good for our bodies, and our bodies don't know what to do with it, and it does not help our health in any way. Now let's move on to protein. What is a protein? Well, scientifically, a protein is a chain of amino acids. There are 20 amino acids, and 9 of them are essential, which means our body cannot make them, and we must get them from our diet. Protein is literally the building blocks of life. Think of them as little Legos that build our bodies. Animal sources of protein are meat, seafood, eggs, and dairy. Plant sources of protein are nuts, seeds, grains, and legumes, but you must be very careful because the quality and the amount greatly varies here with plant-based proteins. Why is protein important? Protein's great because everybody agrees that it's good for us. Nobody thinks we should be avoiding it. The problem is actually the opposite. People think it's this magical substance that will help us lose weight and gain muscle, and some people end up getting way too much. So protein, just like fat, helps keep us full. Protein creates enzymes, hormones, and DNA. Our DNA is literally made up of a whole bunch of proteins. Protein transports molecules through our blood. If we think about hemoglobin, that is a protein that transports oxygen through our blood and delivers it to all of our cells. Very important job. Protein is needed for immune system strength and development. It also creates neurotransmitters for our brain. It's necessary for healthy hair and skin and collagen production. It affects our fluid balance. So if you see somebody with swollen ankles who has a really bad edema, that could be an issue of protein balance. It also affects our acid-base balance. Our body is rigorous in making sure that we're not too far acidic or too far basic. It tightly regulates our pH or we die, and protein helps it do that. Protein is also integral for energy production, meaning our body has the energy it needs to actually function. So yes, as I'm sure you know, protein is extremely important to our body being able to function properly and to our body being the best it can be. However, it is still very easy for people to go overboard with protein, which can have side effects that we do not want. And now on to carbohydrates, probably the most controversial of the macronutrients. So what is a carbohydrate? Well, scientifically, carbohydrates are glucose, fructose, galactose, sucrose, lactose, and fiber. Most of the natural sources that we use are sugar, honey, maple syrup, and molasses. The animal sources of carbohydrates is dairy, that is lactose, that milk sugar. And if somebody's lactose intolerant, it's because they're unable to digest the lactose in milk. Plant sources of carbohydrates are fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, legumes. Basically, every plant has carbohydrates in it. Why are carbs important? Are they even important, or can we just simply eliminate them, lose a bunch of weight, and call it good? Well, it's not that simple. Carbs, like fat, improve flavor and texture of food. If you're much of a baker, you know that the right flour, the right sugars will give you the product that you want, and you can't just simply eliminate something and expect it to turn out the same. Carbs keep us full, or they make us hungry. The high-quality carbs that are full of fiber and nutrients will keep us full for longer, but those low-quality carbs, those things like white bread and processed flours, will have you feel full immediately, but in about 30 minutes you'll be really, really hungry again because it was low-quality food and there was nothing there for your body to use. Carbs are required for blood sugar regulation, and again, it's all about quality. You can have a good high-quality carb and give you that slow rise of blood sugar that has you feeling really good and energized, or you can have those low-quality carbs that have that immediate blood sugar spike, then soon after the blood sugar drop, and you feel like total crap. Carbs are fuel for our cells and for our brains. They both use glucose. When we eat carbs, it breaks down into glucose, and insulin takes the glucose out of our blood and into our cells, and that is the way our body gets the energy to function. And yes, if we're in ketosis, we can use ketones as fuel, but there are certain things that our brain does that requires glucose. And if we're not providing the glucose through our diet, then our body will just create it from fat or protein. So we're really just giving it more work to do. Carbs feed our gut bacteria. Again, the good and the bad. High-quality carbs feed the good bacteria that will boost your immune system, help you create neurotransmitters, prevent disease, have you feeling wonderful. But those low-quality carbs can tank your immune system. They can give you cravings. They can make you gain weight, increase your inflammation, and overall make you feel horrible. Carbs are a wonderful source of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, and let's face it, carbs just taste good. There are 3 big things we want to avoid when it comes to carbohydrates, and they all have to do with sugar. First is added fructose. Fructose is one of those sugars in fruits, and it is very sweet, but that does not mean that we need to avoid fruit. The amount of naturally occurring fructose in fruit is far less than the amount of fructose we get when we have things like juice or soda that has high fructose corn syrup in it. And our bodies don't process fructose like it processes glucose. Fructose most often gets stored in our bodies as fat, and it increases our triglycerides, which is not good for heart health. So when we're looking at fructose, we want to avoid the added fructose, which is when you read that ingredient label and we see things like high fructose corn syrup. Second is added sugar. Again, almost all plant products have naturally occurring sugar in them, and that is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the added sugar that has been put into the product that makes it sweeter than nature intended. This is like all of that sugar that's added to vanilla yogurt. Now you want to avoid this because it's a source of empty calories for one thing. It does spike your blood sugar that leads to the energy crash, and it is addictive. And finally, no calorie sweeteners. Now this is natural and artificial, okay, stevia and Splenda. Just because these sweeteners don't have any calories doesn't mean they're harmless. The biggest thing they do is they increase our preference for sweetness. They condition our taste buds to prefer hyper-sweet things, and pretty soon we can't enjoy a bowl of berries unless we add a heaping spoon of sugar on top. They also negatively affect our gut, our blood sugar, and our weight gain. We can't get into that here today, but no-calorie sweeteners are not a free pass to have extra sweetness in our food. There are thousands of compounds in food besides calories, and we cannot ignore that. Overall, we want to avoid these things because they increase cravings, increase inflammation, and increase fat storage. Now let me ask you, how would it feel to know and believe that fat and carbs are not bad for you? You can eat them and lose weight. You just need to choose the better version, the real version that you've been told to avoid. It can happen. But first, let's talk about the second part of the foundation of facts, calories. Quick question for you. What is a calorie? Now, this is one of those terms that we use all the time. It's in our everyday life, but most people have no idea what a calorie actually is, which means when you start talking about low-calorie diets, low-calorie foods, we don't fully understand what that means. So we're not able to fully understand the consequences of what we're choosing to do. So do you think that a calorie is a measure of energy, a measure of weight, or a measure of nutrient density? A calorie is a measure of energy. Specifically, it's a measure of how much energy it takes to raise 1 milliliter of water 1 degree Celsius. It's a measure of heat, basically. And this measurement is how much we know how much our body is equipped with to do what it needs to do in a day. Think of it this way. So I'm in Arizona, and we have solar panels on our house. The solar panels generate energy for us, right? And in the summertime, we generate more than we need, so it's almost like the energy goes into a bank account at the power company, and then when we need it on a cloudy day or in the winter, we can pull from it. That is what happens to our bodies when we eat. We're giving our bodies energy, and if we give it more energy than we can use, we store it as fat. And then our bodies can pull from those fat stores when we're not eating enough. So the next question becomes, how many calories are in a pound of weight? How many calories does it take for our body to use or store a pound of weight? 350, 500, or 3,500? The answer? 3,500 calories. So the next natural question is, how many calories do you need? Well, it's not that simple. How many calories you need depends. It depends on your age, your weight, your sex, your activity level, your metabolic health, and your physical health. So you might be thinking, okay, fair enough, but how many calories do I burn? How many calories do you burn in a day? How many calories do you burn in a workout? Well, it depends. It depends on your age, your weight, your sex, your activity level, your metabolic health, and your physical health. So how do you know how many calories you need? How do you even know where to start? Well, most people calculate their basal metabolic rate and they go from there. And this works pretty well. So your basal metabolic rate is how many calories your body uses in a day to do its basic functions based on your age, your height, your weight, your sex, and your activity level. Now remember, this is an estimation, it's not an exact science. The next most important thing to know is how many calories are in macronutrients, because we can't know what's working if we have no idea what's going on in our body. Fats have 9 calories per gram, carbs and protein have 4 calories per gram, and alcohol has 7 calories per gram. So you can see why when somebody goes on a low-fat diet, they're able to lose weight because they're cutting out twice as many calories as if they were to go on a low-carb or a low-protein diet. Now that doesn't mean a low-fat diet is healthy for you, but that is the rationale behind doing that because it's a quicker way to cut calories. And if you remember that fat helps keep us full, that can pose a problem. When we're going on such a low-fat diet to cut calories that we're always hungry, that is when people get hangry. You'll also see that alcohol has 7 calories per gram. And when we account for all the added sugar in most mixed drinks, that is where it's really easy to see why people who are big drinkers can be pretty heavy and why they lose a lot of weight so quickly when they stop drinking alcohol. Now this is super important to know, and this skill can come in very handy. But what if you never had to count calories and you could still lose weight? Because when you get back to nature, the food rules fall away. Rules like counting calories, counting macros, eating low-fat, keto, paleo, Atkins, Weight Watchers. Which brings us to secret number 2, industry lies. Mainly lies of the diet industry and the food marketing industry. Now, once we understand the standards of marketing and the goals of health and food companies, we can see past that sparkly facade and everything makes sense. The 3 big lies we're going to look at today are the calorie myth, false solutions, and food marketing. So let's start with the calorie myth. Okay, you ready? Calories in, calories out is the biggest oversimplification of biology that has ever existed in the diet industry. It's not that simple because it's not predictable. Simply put, you cannot count on counting calories. Reason number 1 being that it's an estimation. Food labels are rounded and they're allowed a 20% margin of error. I bet no one told you that when they told you to just watch your calories. So for a quick recap, the calories you need is an estimation. The calories you burn is an estimation. 3,500 calories a week deficit would equal 1 pound of weight lost, and nutrition labels are allowed a 20% margin of error. So, if your basal metabolic rate is 2,100 calories and your daily goal is 1,600 calories, you'll have a 3,500 calorie deficit in 7 days and lose 1 pound. When we add the margin of error, which is 320 calories a day, that is 2,240 calories a week, which is a 64% margin of error. And on top of that, if you use a fitness tracker and you eat even more based on your supposed calories burned, you could be 80% or more off track on your counting. Do you see why this doesn't work? Do you see why it drives me bonkers when somebody says, just count calories? That's only the beginning. The other big problem when we're focused on only calories is looking at the quantity of calories versus the quality of food. When we look at the quantity, we shop based on numbers. We pick up an item, flip it over, look at the nutrition facts label, and if it's under a certain amount of calories, we add it to the cart without even considering what type of food this actually is and if it will be good for our body to help us hit our goals. When we shop based on quality, we're looking at the ingredients, we're looking at the actual food. We're asking ourselves if this is something that will help our body be in its best condition, or if it's a bunch of factory-made frankenfoods that our body has no idea what to do with. When we're focused on quantity, we eat based on numbers. This can take on 2 forms. One is looking at your food tracker and seeing that you have a few hundred extra calories left in your daily allotment, so you decide to eat some extra chips or desserts, or you have a drink at the end of the day because your tracker says you can. This is like looking at your bank account and seeing that there's extra money to spend for the day, so you go buy something just for the sake of buying it to spend your money without even wondering if you want it. This can also look like being hungry in the evening, but looking at your tracker and seeing that you're over your calorie limit. So even though you're hungry, you don't eat because you hit your calorie quota. And if you're hungry while you've reached your calorie limit for the day, that likely means you didn't get the nutrients required for your body to be satisfied. And if we're only looking at calories, we don't take that into consideration, so we can be calorie full and nutrient poor, or overweight and undernourished. When we focus on quality of food, we eat based on our hunger and fullness cues. And when we're eating high quality foods, our hunger and fullness cues are extremely accurate, which means we're able to eat when we're hungry, we stop when we're full, we know we're eating the right foods for our body, and our body will reward us by being in good shape, great condition, and feeling well. When we're focused on quantity, because we're only focused on calories, it's very easy to develop a disordered view of food. Now, I'm not saying that people who count calories have eating disorders, but I am saying that when we have such a black and white, good or bad view of what food we can eat, and there is no wiggle room because we're so strict in the amount of calories we can consume, we lose sight of the big picture and we become obsessed. I know, because I used to be an obsessed tracker. I had my charts and tables and trackers and everything was measured to a T, and it was exhausting and it did not improve my health. When we eat based on quality, we develop a realistic view of food. We understand what we want, what we don't want, what foods will help us, what foods won't, and it's so much easier and less stressful and more flexible to just be able to eat food, knowing that we're making the right choices because we understand our goals and what it actually takes to get there. But this is not what they want you to know. If they can keep you distracted with the solutions they want you to believe are true, then they can keep creating products for you to buy. And when it doesn't work, you will keep buying more. Which takes us to part 2 of Industry Lies, the false solutions. This graph here demonstrates the idea that we're either off track or on track. We're either at 0, where our diet and lifestyle is horrible, or we're at 100% because we're following our plan or program or meal plan perfectly. We're either healthy or not. We're either on plan or not. We're either working towards our goals or we're not. On the left side, we have someone who's very unhealthy. Doesn't like to eat well, only drinks water that comes inside Pepsi or Gatorade, only eats the vegetables that come in a taco, only works out when the only place to park is at the back of the parking lot. Then at the 100 end, we have somebody who works out 5 to 7 times a week, eats whole food, tracks everything that goes into their mouth, has a list of yes and no foods, and cannot be successful unless they're die-hard followers. This is where diets want you to be. This is where diets want you to think you need to be. So what happens is we start on the far left side because we have no idea what to do, and then we follow a plan that tries to swing us all the way to the other end of the spectrum. And it's difficult and it's new and it's something that we're not good at and we're not used to, and people in our lives don't eat this way, and before we know it, life happens. We fall off the wagon, and because we have no idea what to do if we're not following the rules, we swing back to the other direction because when we fall hard. So then we tell ourselves it was the plan that didn't work, it wasn't the right plan for us, then we look online and we find a new plan, and the new plan still tries to swing us all the way over to 100%. It's the same problem as before, and since we don't have the tools and resources to figure it out on our own, when life happens again and we fall off a little bit, we fall off all the way and we go back to square one, and we continue this pattern over and over and over again, and we keep telling ourselves that we are the problem. But what if I told you didn't have to live that way? You don't have to go all the way to 100% to see massive results. What if I told you only had to go halfway? You only had to go to 50, where you're eating mostly whole foods most of the time. You're getting enough water, you're getting some activity every day, and you have built-in flexibility so that when you go out with your friends on Friday night, you can eat an appetizer and have a drink and not feel guilty or that you were bad or that you had a cheat day that turned into a cheat weekend. And you can wake up Saturday morning and get right back on track. In fact, you wake up Saturday morning on track because you never fell off to begin with. Because for most people, this area of change is where you see the most meaningful improvement. And if you decide once you've mastered this phase that you want to go on, you want to fine tune, you want to get a little bit better, do it. And then once you get there and you master that phase, if you think you want to be a high performer, you want to be elite, you want to be better than the average Joe, go for it. But there's no reason that you need to be here to be healthy and to have the health and the life that you want. But if perfection is the expectation, and that's expectation they sell everybody, then we become dependent. We become dependent on things like weight loss pills and appetite suppressants because without them, we can't stop eating. Meal replacements so you don't have to cook. Supplements for every nutrient because if they can get you to buy supplements, then it doesn't matter what nutrients are in the foods you eat, and you can eat low-calorie foods that are nutrient poor that cost twice as much as just eating real food. Superfood blends, probiotics, and prebiotics that sound great, but they can't work in your body if the rest of what you're eating isn't any good. And they sell you these things telling you that all you have to do is take the supplement and change nothing else in your life, and you will lose weight. Which is a huge lie because it's not how biology works, but it's what they know will make you buy the product. Having food shipped to you so you don't have to go to the store or cook anything. Having meal plans given to you so you don't have to think about what to do, or cleanses that do a quick clean out of your body and let you start from square one without telling you what to do next. And let me make this very clear. Except for the first two things, these things on their own are not bad for you. But when these are given as band-aid solutions and when you cannot get your results without them because they've made you dependent on them, because they refuse to teach you what simple things you can do that make you never need these things again, that is when it's a problem. Again, except for the first two, I have used all of these. I still use some of them, but it's not a replacement for responsibility and accountability and taking control of your life. And it does not serve you if you can't keep your progress when one of these suddenly becomes unavailable to you. And that is why we're here today, to get you out of the trap of the diet industry, to show you how you can have the health you want, and to allow you to be independent in reaching your goals. We already know that diets don't work, but why is that? What exactly is the problem and what are the solutions? Problem 1. There's an unlimited amount of information out there, yet nothing is helpful. In fact, we have access to so much information that it's darn confusing to know what's real, what's not real, what applies to you, what doesn't apply to you, and it's just freaking hard and overwhelming, and sometimes we just want somebody to talk to who we know we can trust. The solution? Learn the foundation so you can spot what's relevant to you and what's a distraction. So you know what's real and what's skeezy marketing. So you know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense because key information was conveniently left out. Problem 2. Almost every strategy oversimplifies or overcomplicates how our body works. They oversimplify it, like counting calories, so you'll buy their product, and they overcomplicate it, like carb loading and cyclic eating, so you believe you can't get the results without them. The solution? Uncover marketing tactics so you can see through the misleading claims. Give you the knowledge and resources so that you become self-sufficient. Problem 3. Learning what to do is only part of the challenge. Actually doing it is hard. Diets love to give you all the tactics and strategies, but they don't teach you how to adapt it to your life. So unless you're in the perfect circumstances all the time, you don't get results. The solution? Develop a simple framework so that you take action and see consistent progress. Basically, learn how to apply the knowledge you've been given in even the worst of circumstances. This graph shows the amount of Google searches for weight loss since 2004. Now, as you can see, the searches spike every January and they plummet every November. What does this mean? It means in January, when everybody is excited about New Year's resolutions and is pumped and ready and believes that this year will be different, they're online looking for the current best solution, the trend that everyone is hopping on. Then results don't happen as quickly as we hope, and we get busy. And Valentine's Day chocolate and Easter candy comes around, then it's summertime with vacations, and then it's fall with pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkin roll, and then it's the holidays, and by then, we might as well just give up and wait until January. If the methods of the diet industry worked, this graph would be flat. But then it wouldn't be a $76.2 billion industry. Yes, in 2022, the diet industry in the U.S. was worth $76.2 billion. That is an average daily spend of over $200 million on dieting. And according to the CDC, 800,000 Americans die each year from preventable deaths. Deaths from causes like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, and an unhealthy diet. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to live life and adapt to the constant changes without repeatedly falling off and starting over? That is exactly what my clients get to do. So before you start any diet, there are 6 things I want you to ask yourself, and this will help you determine if the plan is really right for you and if it will help you get the results you're looking for. Question 1, what is the goal and how will you know if you have achieved it? What specifically are you measuring? What is the goal? How will you know when you're there? Question 2, what are you actually learning and what emotions are attached? Are you learning how to eat healthy or are you learning how to follow a bunch of rules? Did you buy this when you were feeling really low and it was the middle of the night and you were spontaneous? Or have you really thought this through and your emotions are neutral, you're just looking for something that will actually work? How long will the diet last and what is the exit plan? Is there an exit plan or are they expecting you to use their product for the rest of your life? What are you buying before, during, and after? What is the real cost of the diet and everything included, and is it more expensive than just buying real food? What were those results and how long did they last? Were these real people or were they celebrities? Did they last long enough to take a before and after picture and then immediately fall off track, or have they had these results for years? And will you 100% commit, no exceptions? Because if you're not going to 100% commit, then why would you spend several $100s doing something that you won't allow to give you results? So will you promise to evaluate the next plan you choose and see if it actually meets your needs? Now, the final part of the industry lies is the food marketing, and this is possibly the most important part. Remember, it's just good business. It wouldn't be a $76.2 billion industry if they weren't all about making money. I always struggled with the idea that there's bad food out there, and I couldn't figure out why until one of my dietitian mentors told me this. She said food is not good or bad, but not everything we eat is food. Not everything we eat is food. Pepsi is not food. Twinkies are not food. A bologna sandwich with Kraft cheese and white bread is not food. But then as I was thinking, I came up with this. Food is inherently good, but not everything we eat is food. Everything that God put on this planet for us to eat is good, but humans change things. For profit, for convenience, for taste, and unfortunately, a lot of what we have created is not food and is not serving our body. So what do? We have to outsmart the marketing, which means looking at the ingredient label and then looking at the nutrition facts label. Food marketing is like social media. We proudly show whatever makes us look good, desirable, or better than. This is the packaging. What can't be hidden, we present in the best way possible. This is the nutrition facts. And you have to dig deep or build a relationship to get the whole story. And this is the ingredient list. So real quick, let's decipher the nutrition facts label because this is understandably confusing to a lot of people. First is the serving size. The serving size is how much you're expected to eat. It's not how much you should eat. It's not standardized like a serving of vegetables is a cup. It's how much people usually eat, and because these aren't standardized, they can be manipulated to improve numbers. So if you look at something like barbecue sauce or coffee creamer or chips, the serving size is often a fourth of what we actually use. Next is the calories, and as we already covered, it is not an exact science. They are rounded and they are allowed a 20% margin of error. In the yellow section, we have macronutrients and some micronutrients. One thing I want to point out here is the carbohydrates. Under total carbs, we have fiber, sugar, and added sugar. The total carbohydrates encompasses all of this, so we don't do any adding. Added sugar is the sugar that's been added to the product. So if it's something with fruit, there will be naturally occurring sugar, but we're only worried about the sugar that's been added. And sometimes these numbers don't really even mean anything to us, so to give you a little bit of perspective, 4 grams of sugar is equivalent to 1 teaspoon. So in this product, with 10 grams of added sugar, there are 2.5 teaspoons of added sugar. And in the purple, we have the percent daily value. These are extremely general and vary greatly from person to person. An active 25-year-old man has very different needs than a sedentary 45-year-old woman, so it's better to ignore these numbers and focus on what you know you need. Let's take a look at some examples. Yoplait yogurt with real fruit. A serving is 1 container, 140 calories, 1.5 grams of fat, 28 carbs, 20 grams of sugar, and 13 grams of added sugar, and 5 grams of protein. So there's a lot of added sugar, but it is low fat. But let's take a look real quick at the ingredients. And as I'm sure you know, the ingredients are listed by weight. So the first ingredient is the one that there's most of by weight in the product. So looking here, we have low-fat milk followed by sugar. Then we have strawberries, modified food starch, water, and bananas. Then followed by 1% of a whole bunch of other stuff. All in all, it's not really a great product if your focus is real food that's healthy for you and that is going to help you lose weight. The added sugar alone should make you immediately put this back on the shelf. Next up is Oikos Triple Zero. Definitely a product aimed at people who are health conscious. The serving size is in grams, whereas the Yoplait was in ounces, so we can't really compare the two. It does have fewer calories. There is no fat, which, as you remember, will lower the calories. There's only 10 grams of carbs, no added sugar, and 15 grams of protein, so 3 times that of Yoplait. So it's looking pretty good, but let's look at what's in it. Non-fat milk, water, chicory root fiber, and then 1% of a whole bunch of other stuff. So this is interesting because they took non-fat milk and they watered it down even more to make sure it's a non-fat product. Then they added fiber. And if you remember, fiber comes from plants and dairy does not come from plants. Therefore, if there's going to be fiber in yogurt, then it must be an added source. They also needed to thicken it because right now we just have cultured, watered down non-fat milk, and that will not produce the yogurt people expect. And they need to give people what they want, which is a delicious tasting yogurt that's low carb and low fat, and the only way to do that is create something that's not in nature. Now we have organic vanilla yogurt. The serving size is 3/4 cup, which is a little bit bigger than the Dannon. There are 150 calories, which is quite a bit more than the Dannon, and there are 6 grams of fat because it's whole milk. There's 20 carbs, 17 grams of sugar, and about 11 of those are added, and then 5 grams of protein. Okay, so let's look at the ingredients. Organic whole milk, that's a great sign. Sugar, not so great. Natural vanilla flavor, pectin, lactase enzyme, D3. So what's going on here? They have natural vanilla flavor in there instead of vanilla bean, definitely helps with the cost. Pectin is in there to help thicken it up a little bit. The lactase enzyme is in there to help those people who are lactose intolerant. So lactase is the enzyme that digests lactose. So it's there to help with digestion for people who might be sensitive to lactose. And then we have vitamin D3 added. We also have a lot of really good bacteria for your gut, but I think this is still pretty high in added sugar and it might not be the best option. Finally, we have Chobani plain Greek yogurt. The serving size is 3/4 cup, the same as the one we just looked at. Calories are 170, so definitely the most of any of the yogurt so far. 9 grams of fat because this is whole milk. Only 7 carbohydrates and no added sugar, and 15 grams of protein. So these are actually some pretty incredible numbers. And yes, there are 9 grams of fat. No, it's not a low-fat product, but remember, low fat is not automatically better. And by having the fat in here, we're able to absorb more nutrients and it will help keep us full longer. So let's look at the ingredients. Cultured milk. Interesting. What do you know? We have real food. Do you see how it's important to learn how to decipher the ingredient nutrition label? Because we cannot automatically believe what we're told is good for us. Next up is marketing buzzwords. These are the things that they love to put on the front of the package to make you think food is good for you, but it doesn't always mean what they want you to think it means. First up is multigrain whole wheat, 100% wheat. They use this when they want you to believe that it is a high quality whole grain product. But multigrain doesn't mean whole grain, it means there's more than one grain. Whole wheat does mean whole wheat, but it doesn't mean there's only whole wheat. That is where you get to look at the ingredient list to see if whole wheat flour is the first ingredient. And 100% wheat, again, does not mean whole wheat. It means that there is wheat in the product. So again, we look at the ingredient list to see what else is in there. No added sugar, no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or preservatives. This is a good sign, but it doesn't mean it's not full of natural sweetener that makes it way more sweet than it needs to be, and that it is messing with your sweet tolerance and your gut. It also doesn't mean there aren't natural versions of these things that make it not quite real food. The chicory root fiber that was in the yogurt is natural, but we want our yogurt to be real yogurt, not watered down milk that's thickened with fiber. Good source of. Now this is a specific definition that the FDA does define, so the product does have to have a certain amount of the nutrient for it to say it's a good source of something. But just because Fruit Loops is a good source of iron does not mean Fruit Loops is what your children need to be eating before breakfast. Contains real fruit or fruit juice. Again, just because a product contains real fruit or juice doesn't mean that there's not a lot of high fructose corn syrup, food coloring, artificial flavors, and sugar in there. Nutri-Grain bars might contain real fruit, but that doesn't mean the filling is only fruit. Juice might contain real fruit juice, but it doesn't mean it doesn't first contain water and corn syrup and food coloring. Insert whatever healthy food as first ingredient. For the people who already know that the ingredients are listed out in descending order by weight, you know that if something is the first ingredient, it's the majority of the product. But if we're looking at something like veggie chips, where the first ingredient is spinach, and is then followed by 4 other types of flour, including rice flour and corn flour, it is true that spinach is the first ingredient. But when you add up all of the flours together, spinach might only be 30% of the product. So it's very important to read what else is in the product. May help reduce or protect. This is on stuff like Honey Nut Cheerios, that it may help reduce your cholesterol. While Honey Nut Cheerios may help reduce your cholesterol if the rest of your diet is 100% spot on. And if the rest of your diet is 100% spot on, your cholesterol would be great without buying the Cheerios. And when Honey Nut Cheerios has more sugar than a donut, it's not good for your health regardless, and these are claims that can be made because they're not proving anything. They're just saying it could possibly potentially help maybe. But let's think about this. The type of person who's eating Honey Nut Cheerios because it's going to maybe help reduce your cholesterol is not the type of person who has a lifestyle to have healthy cholesterol to begin with. And the person who needs just a little bit of help to reduce their cholesterol is not going to look to Honey Nut Cheerios for their solution. And finally, plant-based. Oh my gosh. This is such a misuse of nature. It pains me every time I see it. Plant-based is not synonymous with healthy. Plant-based generally means two things. One, it was already plant-based and will always be plant-based. We're just jumping on the bandwagon to increase sales. Or two, it took a food scientist, a factory, millions of dollars, and 26 ingredients to create this food because nothing about it is natural. Yes, of course, there are good plant-based products out there, but if there's ever a time to be skeptical about what's really in food, this is it. So do yourself a favor and read the ingredients. There are a lot of thoughts and feelings and mottos out there for how to choose foods, and mine is this. If the ingredient list doesn't resemble a grocery list or a recipe, you probably shouldn't be eating it. It's not to say you can never eat other foods. Yes, I enjoy Sprite occasionally. Yes, I have pizza every now and then. Yes, I do even eat a Little Debbie once in a while. And you can eat those things too when you know your limits and when your habits are in check. But as a general guideline, when we are looking at foods that we want in our diet every day that will help us meet our goals, this is a great guideline to follow. Do you see now why weight loss is not easy? Do you see why you've struggled without success? Are you letting yourself off the hook for not knowing what you were never taught? Now onto the third secret of weight loss that lasts. The best part of this, the reason you came here today, real solutions. Now that we know the function of macros, the purpose of calories, and some of the misleading marketing practices, we can set ourselves up for success. We're going to look at 4 things: planning, shopping, what to do, and the 4 proven principles of health. First up, planning. First thing to know, our brains are machines and their job is efficiency. The easier we make success, the more likely we are to have it. Remember, I'm a neurodietitian. I'm not just interested in telling you what to eat and what to do. I'm interested in telling you how to do it in a way that your brain will let you do it long term so that you can be successful. The first thing we need to do is set up our environment in a way that will allow us to achieve our goals. Question 1. Is it easy to eat at home? Is it easy for you to have home-cooked meals that are healthy and nourishing and keep you on track? If not, why? What is the one thing or 2 things that would make it so much easier for you to want to cook at home and to enjoy doing it on a daily basis? Question 2. Is it easy to go to the grocery store? Are you able to go to the grocery often enough that you constantly have a kitchen and pantry stocked with the foods that you need to be able to cook at home? Does it fit with your schedule? Does it fit with your lifestyle? Is it easy to get to? Do the ones near you have what you need? If not, what can you do today or tomorrow or this week to make that a possibility? Question 3. Is it easy to plan meals? Do you know how to plan meals? Do you know how to make a good meal plan? Do you know how to use the food you have available without letting anything go to waste? Do you know how to repurpose things so that you can eat similar foods in different ways so you don't get tired of them? Are you able to batch cook? Are you able to prep, or are you able to make things in advance and stick leftovers in the freezer for those days where you don't have time to cook? If not, why not? And what can you do to make this happen? Question 4. Is it easy to avoid problem foods? You know those foods. Those things that you buy and expect to last a few weeks or last a month, and all of a sudden you look in the pantry and it's gone. You have a stressful day at work and you go straight for it and you eat the entire bag or the entire carton or the entire bottle. If you're the only one in your house, I would encourage you not to buy those problem foods, because if it's around, you're going to eat it. If you're not the only one in the house and it's other people who eat your problem foods, then how can you have them in a place where they are not a temptation for you? Question 5. Is it easy to fit an activity? Do you have a place to do it? Have you made the time to do it? Do you know what you would do? Do you have a setup where you could do it just a few minutes here and there when you have time? Do you feel like you need a gym or equipment or weights, or do you just simply need a pair of running shoes and a chair? If this is not something that you love to do, then this has to be brain dead simple for you to do it, or it will not get done. Remember, our brains like what is easy. Our brains like to not think. And if there's something that we don't like to do, our brain is going to come up with every excuse in the book for why you don't have to do it or why you can't do it. So this has to be super duper simple and have no thought to it, and be as fun as we can make it so that when it comes time to do it, we just do it and we don't give our brains a chance to tell us not to. And if this is a huge sticking point for you and you just don't know what to do, send me a direct message on Facebook and I will send you my YouTube playlist of very simple, very low impact exercises that you can do in 10 minutes in your home with no equipment and without making any noise. Next up is planning meals. I know this is a huge obstacle for a whole lot of people, so I'm going to give you some quick tips on how to make this as painless as possible. The first question to ask yourself is, what do you usually eat? If you got a piece of paper and wrote down 15 meals that you eat on a regular basis, and that are fairly easy to make, I'm sure that you'll come up with 25 in 10 minutes or less. Sometimes we just need to write them down and get those thoughts out, and pretty soon you'll see that you have a whole lot of options to work with. The next question is, how can you change that up? If you like Mexican food, there are 25 different ways you can have a taco, and they all taste different if you change the vegetables, change the seasonings, and change the way you put it together. Same thing with casseroles, same thing with stir fries. It doesn't take much to make something different enough that we can eat it several times. And if it's something that you really, really like, make extras and stick it in the freezer and have it as a backup plan. Question number 3, what do you have on hand? Are you someone who always has a bag of rice or a bag of beans or stuff to make a sandwich, or canned soup or canned fruit or vegetables and meat in the freezer? What is something that you always have on hand, and what can you make sure that you always have on hand so you can throw something together really quick? Again, this isn't rocket science. It just takes a few seconds of getting a little bit creative, and if you don't know what to do, go to Pinterest and you will not be lost for ideas. If anything, you'll need to take a step back and a big giant deep breath because you'll be so overwhelmed with so many incredible ideas that you don't even know where to start. Question number 4, when will you cook and shop? Are you going to do it at the same time every week? Are you going to tell yourself that when you get low on certain foods, you're going to go to the grocery store to make sure that you always have something? Are you going to meal prep and cook or plan your weekly meals the same day every week? When are you going to do it? When specifically are you going to do this? Then schedule it and do it. Remember, our brains like to know what's going on, to not have to think, and to not have to think too hard, especially at the end of the day when it's been a long day, we've been at work, we've been wrestling with the kids, and we're just tired of thinking. When you plan this in advance, when you put it on your calendar on a certain day and then that day comes and you don't have to think about it, you don't have to try to convince yourself that you should do it or that you don't need to do it, or that you really can put it off until tomorrow, because when you put it off until tomorrow, the exact same feelings come up tomorrow and you still don't want to do it. So when you put it on your calendar, you plan exactly when you're going to do it and you don't think about it, you know you're expecting to do it and you know when it's done, you're going to feel so great because it's been accomplished. And the more you do it, the more you're going to get used to doing it, and then you're going to enjoy doing it until it just becomes part of your routine. So now that we know how to plan, it's time to look at shopping. I'm sure you knew this before, I'm sure you've experienced this before, but the fastest way to failure is to enter the grocery store with no list, no direction, and an empty belly. Sometimes the aisles with so many options is flippin' confusing. So how do we know where to start? Well, we use the stoplight system. You've probably seen this before, but I'm going to guess that this is a little bit different than the ones you've seen. First, we have green, everyday choices. This is the stuff that obviously comes from nature, the whole foods. It's the healthiest option, there's no added fat or sugar, it's the highest in nutrients, it's going to help you reach your health goals, and as such, it should be 70 to 90% of your diet. 100% if you really want to go for it. Next up is the yellow food. These are the sometimes choices. These are the foods from nature that have a little bit of added stuff to them. This will be that organic yogurt that has organic sugar and some fruit added to it. This is higher in added fat and sugar than green foods, and therefore it's a little less nutritive. And because of that, you want to eat this stuff 2 to 3 times a week. Again, this is if you really want to have a very healthy diet that's not too rigid. And finally, we have the red foods. This is stuff that does not resemble nature. This is stuff that was made in a factory and didn't exist 100 years ago. This is the stuff that has a ton of added sugar and a ton of added fat in it, like Twinkies, like soda, like a ton of the protein bars out there. And because of that, it should hardly ever be in your diet. But if there's stuff in here that you really want to eat, try to eat it only a couple times a month. And here's a more detailed list of the foods that fall into these categories. Take a screenshot because it's not going to be here very long. And remember, I'm not telling you that you have to eat in a certain way, but I'm telling you that there are certain ways of eating that will allow you to get the results that you want and to get them to last. And when we work together, I can help you fine-tune what your plan could look like. Now I have a quick question for you. Considering the goal you have for health, weight, energy, lifestyle, which do you prefer? To be on the left side and have foods with more nutrients, few if any empty calories, have accurate hunger cues, and have little if any need to count? Or would you rather be on the right side with fewer nutrients, more empty calories, inaccurate hunger cues, and a pretty strong need to count? If you remember, the closer we get to food, the more the rules fall away. And this is why. When we eat the foods on the left side, the foods from nature, the foods in the green category, we get the results on the left side. And when our diet mostly consists of foods on the red side, those highly processed foods, those foods that did not exist 100 years ago, those foods with a lot of crazy unrecognizable things in the ingredient list, foods that are on the red list, we get the results on the right side. So I want you to remember this because it's very important. Good health is simple, but it's not always easy. Good health is simple and people overcomplicate it to sell their product. But it's not always easy and people downplay that to sell their product and make you think that it's your fault you can't get results. But that's not true. And now we're going to go down part 3. What to do and what to do now. First things first, we have to get clear on what we want. Do you want to eliminate, prevent, reduce disease? Do you want to achieve a healthy weight, gain muscle, burn fat, have more energy, have better sleep, have improved mood, have confidence in food choices, look good, feel good, finally see progress? All of the above. And then once you know exactly what you want, we have to get clear on our priorities. Is your priority results? Are you so committed to results that you will do whatever it takes to make them happen? Or are you more concerned with ease? Do you only want the results and are you only willing to put in the work if it's relatively easy? If you don't really have to change your life too much, and if you don't have to give up the things that you like that you know are holding you back from reaching your goals. Now don't get me wrong, it doesn't have to be extremely difficult. It can be easy, it can be fun and enjoyable, but easy is earned. Another thing to take a screenshot of. Nothing is easy the first time we do it. It takes practice and discipline and a willingness to do it wrong to really master something. And once you've gotten there, it will be easy and you'll be one of those people who has incredible health and an incredible life and others will think, man, she makes it look easy. Now remember, we do not have to go to the extreme of perfection to see massive results. For the vast majority of people, the 0 to 50 mark is where the most meaningful improvement happens. This is likely where you are, and it's very doable, it's very achievable, and it will make an incredible improvement in your health and in your life. Would you agree that when you're focused on your goals, when the results are tangible, when you know that what you're going to do is proven to work for people without million-dollar bank accounts, private chefs, and personal trainers, that the effort required to get the results is in fact worth it? So, what are these 4 proven principles of health that will allow anyone to achieve their health goals? Remember, good health is simple, but it's not always easy. Why do most people not succeed with their weight loss plan? They're solving the wrong problem. They're looking at counting calories when they need to be looking at ingredients. They're looking at finding the right meal plan when they need to find out why they can't make their own for free. They're looking for low-calorie, low-sugar snacks when they need to be looking at why they feel the need to snack when they're not hungry. They get caught in the weeds, becoming hyper-focused on the counting and tracking and timing of meals and how much extra can be eaten after a workout when they don't even know what their gut-wrenching goal is and if all of that stress of being obsessed with rules is even worth the trouble. They don't have a plan. They saw the right commercial when they were having a rough night and spent $400 on a meal plan and food shipped to their door without taking 5 minutes to think about the practicality of the new plan they just signed up for and if it's even feasible that they can be successful with it. And most people rely on motivation and willpower. They assume that when things get bad enough, it'll be easy to make the changes because then it will really matter. When I get diagnosed with prediabetes, I will take this seriously, but until then, I'm fine. If you can't find the discipline and determination to do this when you want to, there will be no external circumstances that can make you do it later. So what's the real answer? It's so easy, you might get angry. Eat when you're hungry, don't eat when you're full. Eat real food, manage your triggers. These are the 4 proven principles of health. And yes, I know they're easy, but let the simple part be simple, because the work is hard enough. Principle number 1, eat when you're hungry. This scale of 1 to 10 goes from 1, being so incredibly full that you're insanely miserable and you would rather throw up than feel how full you feel. Number 10 is you're so insanely hungry, you'll eat literally anything because you feel like you're going to die or pass out. We want to eat when we're at a 7. We're hungry enough that we can eat enough to keep us full for several hours, but we're not so hungry that we're still able to make good decisions. Number 2, stop when you're full. We want to stop when we're at about a 4. Again, we're full enough that we will be satisfied for several hours, but we're not so full that we regret that 3rd helping. We still have energy and we don't need to go lie on the couch because we have a food coma coming on. Number 3, eat real food. If you do not get a picture of this stoplight method, take a picture now because this is how simple it is to eat real food. And this matters so much because the food that you eat most often will determine if you deal with the victories of the left side or the consequences of the right side. And we also know how to easily look at an ingredient list and determine if it is something we want to eat. And finally, managing your triggers. This is where the hard work really comes in. Yes, I know some of this stuff might not be fun to look at, some of this might be really freaking hard to deal with, and you might feel like it's totally out of your control. But if you want to be successful and if you want to be in control of what you eat and when you eat and why you eat, and therefore in control of your results, You get to learn how to manage these things. You get to learn how to be in control of your life, and you get to learn how to manage your environment so that you have no choice but to be successful. And yes, I know some of this is really simple. Some of this feels like it shouldn't make that much of a difference, and some of it might feel like it doesn't quite apply. But let me remind you that it works. Almost 1 million Americans die each year from very easily preventable diseases, and the ones who don't die, I can promise you, are living an unhappy, unfulfilled life. And I know you don't want that. Risk factor, diabetes. Typical result for my clients: diagnosed diabetes or prediabetes to normal blood sugar levels. Risk factor, high blood pressure. Typical result for my clients: blood pressure from the 190s to the 130s in 3 weeks. Risk factor, obesity and poor diet. Typical results for my clients: average of 10 pounds lost in 6 weeks, more energy, more confidence, and less confusion, which means they stick to what they do and the results continue. Knowing what to do to get results is one thing. Knowing how to keep those results is a whole other ballgame. Do you think that at some point you are given the answers? You do actually have the correct information, and you are given the opportunity to be successful? And when that happens, if you choose to not act, then you are choosing to not get results? When presented with a better and easier way, do you keep doing what you've been doing, or do you change your approach? If you want to take action, there are things that you can do right now. Track everything you eat for 3 days. Read the ingredient list on everything you buy. Swap up as you run out, and do the 4 things. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and it is time that we let this be simple. So what have we learned so far today? What are macronutrients? Fat, protein, and carbs. The importance of macros, what to eat, what to avoid. What are calories? Why counting doesn't work. The dangers of the counting rabbit hole. How most diets make you dependent. It's a $72 billion industry. How we've been living in the same diet pattern for 19 years. The problem with the perfect diet plans. That we're dying from easily preventable diseases. The 6 questions to ask before starting any diet. Marketing buzzwords to look out for. Reading labels so you know what you're getting. Setting up your environment for success. How to start planning meals consistently. The stoplight system, what foods to buy and what to avoid, the benefits of eating real food, why most people don't succeed with their weight loss, what exactly to do instead, and what 3 things to start doing right now. Have you found this valuable? Do you have more confidence in your ability to make healthy decisions? Are you getting some clarity as to why things have not worked in the past? Are you convinced that our healthcare system and diet industry are letting us down by allowing 800,000 people to die yearly from preventable diseases? Are you letting yourself off the hook for not knowing things you were never taught and for following advice that you were given? Are you ready for results? I have absolute confidence that you could take everything we covered here today and on your own go out and put it into action and get results that you previously thought were not possible. I am certain that just with the information we've covered on this webinar today, left on your own with your own resources, time, and effort, you can make a go at this in a way most people will never be able to. And if that were your only option, it would be a worthy ideal to pursue. But what if there was another option? Another option that allowed us to go at this together. A chance to go deeper than we can go in 1 little hour on 1 little webinar, connected together 1 little time. What if I played an active role in your results, took responsibility in your success, and had an obligation to your outcome? How would that make things different? Do you think that in that situation I could empower you with any and all resources at my disposal to stack the deck in your favor and to make success for you all but inevitable? If I had shortcuts, support systems, and additional insights that go even deeper and more thoroughly into getting you the results you want, desire, and quite frankly deserve? If I had such an option for you, would you love to hear more about it and what it could do for you? Can I show you what I've created that has allowed my clients to see massive success? If you don't want the answer, feel free to hop off. I will not be offended. Okay, great. That is why it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you the 12-week Health Accelerator Bootcamp that will transform your health and transform your life. It's a step-by-step approach for losing 20 pounds in 12 weeks without ever going on a diet again. It's a plan that is centered around your goals and your priorities so you get results quicker, easier, and in a way that allows them to last. You get 12 on-demand modules. They're searchable so you can find the exact information you're looking for. They're unlocked weekly so that you can immediately implement everything you learn and you'll have lifetime access. You get specific and flexible nutrition guidance, exact recommendations on what to eat to meet your goals, guidance on how to adapt it to your life, and no counting, ever, unless you really want to. You get help managing life. Everything non-food related that has prevented you from hitting your goals, mastering triggers, stressors, and motivation, creating a plan to move forward with momentum. Upon completion of this 12-week bootcamp, you can expect to see the results of my past clients. 20 or more pounds of weight lost, increased energy, fewer if any cravings, less stress, higher quality sleep, lower blood pressure, balanced blood sugar, improved gut health, and complete clarity on why diets have never really worked for you, and a specific framework to keep your results moving forward. One of my favorite quotes: "Expectation without investment is just a wish." In the right hands of the right company, this information is worth millions of dollars because of the results it delivers. The knowledge and experience required to create this method and put this together is worth $200,000. Working with me privately for a year to get these results is $25,000. Currently, it sells on its own for $29.99, and you can get it here for $7.99 when you visit dietindustrydropout.com. And best of all, by joining me today, you're going to get your hands on some extra special bonuses. Bonus 1, the Take Action membership. When you're around people after the same goals as you who are solution-oriented, your chances of success increase by 80%. Being an active member increases your chance of seeing results in your first 14 days by 200% and in your first 30 days by 400%. You'll have access to me every single week to dive deeper into the content of this course and to give you personalized recommendations. And you'll get 3 months free. Bonus 2 is a founding member. Most memberships slowly creep up the price until it's 2 to 3 times what you initially paid. Not here. You're going to be locked in for life. Every month you'll get a new mini course that expands on current topics, explores new areas, and accelerates your immediate and long-term results. And as a member, you get priority access to every program, course, and workshop that is developed from here on out. Bonus number 3 is the home study program. Don't let this be another webinar that you watch, think, "Oh, it all makes sense," and then do nothing with it. You'll get more detail and insight into everything we covered today, and you'll have lifetime access to the course and the study material. Bonus 4 is the Healthy Habits Bundle. Most people give you one tracker, one meal plan, or one simple guide and act like it's going to be the tipping point to you getting on track. Wrong, you need it all. A comprehensive planner that allows you to figure out your life so that you can make a health or fitness plan that makes sense. A no-brainer method to creating the perfect meal plan so you actually stick with it. A big picture tracker so you know why you eat in addition to what you eat, and that allows you to see non-food reasons why you're not hitting your goals. A simple portable guide so that you're never at the grocery store wondering what brand you should be buying, and a thought-provoking journal that gets to the root of your eating habits, and lifetime access to future updates. Bonus 5 is the 21-day reset. We're human, not perfect, and sometimes when we fall hard. This 21-day reset will let you start over without starting from square one. You'll be able to get back on track in 5 days or less and keep moving forward to hit your health goals. You'll get a workbook plus audio coaching to your inbox so that you start every day with the mindset for success. It's a step-by-step framework to get you quick wins and set you up for consistent, predictable results. And you can restart this as many times as you want, which means it's great for January 1st and post-vacation. Bonus number 6, NeuroHacks audio coaching. We're human, not perfect, and usually it's the day-to-day stuff that throws us off. What if you could hear from me twice a week to make sure that you stay on track and in the right headspace? We have Motivational Mondays and Wake Up Call Wednesdays. Quick coaching tips on nutrition, lifestyle, and habits sent straight to your inbox. In a short time today, I have unraveled the sneaky practices of the diet and food industry and have likely touched on one or more reasons why you have not gotten the results you expect with any plan you've tried. The reality is that if you only focus on the 4 proven principles of health and do nothing else moving forward, you can see bigger and faster results than ever before without the stress and overwhelm that comes with starting a new diet plan. I don't know what you knew about nutrition and the diet industry coming into today, but it'd be safe to bet that some or all of what we covered was new and valuable to you. This is not just stuff I learned sitting in the classroom reading a textbook. It is what I've developed after working with people who were constantly let down by the diet industry and the healthcare industry, and they just wanted results. I knew there had to be a better way, and they were ready to do what it took. And I guarantee you will see results in your first 30 days, or I will give you a 100% refund. And you can get this today when you visit dietindustrydropout.com. Remember, you're in the right place. If you've tried so many diets or food plans that you do not even know what to eat anymore, if you're constantly searching for answers and the amount of information and conflicting advice has you overwhelmed into doing nothing, if you want to know what it really takes to get long-term weight loss and other results, and you want to know why nothing ever works. If you agree that diets rarely, if ever, provide long-lasting results, that the ideas and plans are usually great, but life is unpredictable and they become nearly impossible to stick to. There is so much confusing and conflicting information out there that if someone isn't telling you exactly what to do, then you feel like you have no idea what the real answer is. And then it's easy to believe that you have no idea who or what to trust, or even if you can trust yourself. And if you also agree that if you knew something would absolutely work, if you knew you could do it forever, if you wanted to do it forever, and if you had the support, accountability, and resources to follow through 100%, you would do it. And if you accept that there is no one-size-fits-all diet, but there are general principles and guidelines that everyone would benefit from following, that some of this information might have felt irrelevant to you, but you need to be aware of it so that you know when you're looking at a meal plan, program, or product that it is complete garbage. And you might already have known 99% of the information you heard, but you would not still be watching this if you didn't feel like something was missing. Until now. You can be successful with me if you're willing to have an open mind about the information you learn from here on out. If you're willing to take responsibility for your health by learning what you need to know and putting that knowledge into practice. And if you're comfortable asking why, because your days of blindly accepting information that impact your health are over, even from me. If that does not sound like you, please don't buy anything here today, because this will be just another course you bought and didn't finish, and well before the 12 weeks is up, you'll be on to the next best thing that won't actually get you results. And I'm in the business of changing lives. If that does sound like you, ask yourself if you're ready. Ready for change, ready for transformation, ready for results, ready for the search to be over. Because the answer is right here at dietindustrydropout.com. And when you go there, here's what you'll get. The 12-week Health Accelerator Bootcamp and all 6 bonuses. 3 months of the Take Action membership with monthly mini courses. Founding member, locked-in pricing for life. The Home Study Program with lifetime access. The Healthy Habits Bundle with lifetime updates. The 21-day reset with lifetime updates. NeuroHacks audio coaching 2 times a week. And access to our neurodietitian who can get you unstuck. For a total value of $42,513. But you're not going to pay $42,513. It is yours for $7.99 when you visit dietindustrydropout.com. And I'll see you next Wednesday on a membership call.